Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
Everything my cheating ex-wife stole is now dragging her down.
10 years married. That's how long we'd been together when everything fell apart in one brutal dinner conversation. My wife, Callista, suggested an anniversary trip to Aspen to celebrate our decade together. I thought maybe she wanted to fix things. We'd been distant lately, like strangers sharing a house. The mountains, the fresh snow, crackling fires. I hoped it might bring us back together. I was completely wrong. We're sitting at this rustic lodge with panoramic views of snow-covered pines, white linen, golden candlelight, bottle of red wine half finished between us. Callista wore this elegant dark green velvet dress, looking effortless but rehearsed. Her cousin Jordan was there too, both of them tipsy with flushed cheeks, whispering and giggling like they shared some inside joke. I'd just lifted my fork to cut into my seared steak when Callista reached for her wine glass, swirled it lazily, and said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. By the way, I sold your cabin. My boyfriend needed the money. No build-up. No apology, no hesitation. She said it the way someone might mention changing the curtains. My fork stopped midair. I looked up, thinking I'd misheard, but then Jordan snorted, wiping her mouth with the linen napkin. "He'll get over it," she muttered, trying not to laugh. They'd planned this moment. This was their punchline to some sick joke. What settled over me wasn't shock. That passed in seconds. It was something colder, sharper. A silence so loud it blocked out every sound in the restaurant. She leaned back, satisfied with the drama, probably expecting rage or begging or disbelief. Something to show she'd won. But I didn't give her that. Instead, I smiled. Not the happy kind. This smile was colder than the ice clinking in her glass. "That's funny," I said softly, reaching into my coat. My fingers found the envelope I'd folded there hours earlier. Not because I expected this exact betrayal, but because I'd stopped trusting her months ago, maybe even a year. I placed it gently beside her water glass and slid it across with 2 fingers. Jordan leaned over to peek, still smiling until she saw what was inside. Deeds, sale contracts, authorization signatures. Both our names, notarized, dated, final. "What's that?" Callista asked, her voice flat now. "I sold something too," I said simply. Her trembling hand pulled the documents from the envelope. The blood drained from her face as she scanned them. "You sold the account," she whispered, voice cracking. "No," I corrected. "I sold our joint investment account, the one I built for 10 years, the one you had access to but never contributed to. You know, the one you borrowed against for that wellness retreat in Miami last spring." Jordan wasn't laughing anymore. She looked like she wanted to disappear. "You can't do that," Callista said weakly. "I already did, 3 days ago. Every dollar moved, cashed, redirected. It's done." Her face cycled through red, pale, red again. "That's theft." "No," I said, eyes locked on hers. "That's partnership. The kind where one person does all the work and the other pretends to care." The silence that followed swallowed the entire room. Even the approaching waiter saw us and turned back toward the kitchen. I leaned forward slightly. "You sold my cabin without my knowledge or permission. And you think you're still in control?" I shook my head. "You made your move, Callista. That was your mistake because now I get to make mine." When Jordan tried to interrupt, I cut her off. "You laughed when she told me what she did? You thought this was funny?" I stood up, chair scraping stone. Didn't raise my voice, didn't throw anything. Just left those documents on the table like a calling card and walked out. The cold Aspen air hit like a slap that wakes you up. I didn't look back because I knew she wouldn't follow. That was the funeral for everything we'd built, or thought we had. The drive to Denver was long and quiet. I reached my friend Rory's place near midnight. He opened the door immediately. One look at my face told him everything. "Spare room's made up," he said. "Whiskey's on the counter." I went straight to the kitchen, poured a glass, and after a long silence said, "She sold the cabin." "Wait, what?" I told him everything. The dinner, the announcement, Jordan's laugh, the documents I'd slid across the table. When I finished, Rory walked to the window and folded his arms. That cabin was in your name. She couldn't have sold it legally. She forged my signature. His expression turned cold and focused. She's been planning this for a while. You don't pull something like that overnight. We worked until 3 a.m. Rory on his laptop while I listed everything we still shared. Accounts, properties, vehicles, safety deposit box, wine membership. Piece by piece, we laid it all out. The cabin wasn't just property. It was memory. My grandfather built it by hand, taught me to swing a hammer on that porch, showed me how to listen to silence without needing to fill it. And she'd sold my inheritance like it was disposable. But this was bigger than I'd imagined. Through Rory's contacts, we traced the money. $42,000 from the cabin sale, transferred to our joint savings, then wired within 48 hours to an account in Florida under the name Tyrese Bennett. I didn't recognize the name until we searched it with Callista's email. Tyrese was a personal trainer in Miami, running a boutique gym that hadn't turned profit in years. His social media was desperate motivational quotes and shirtless selfies. And there she was in a video from 6 weeks earlier. Baseball cap, sunglasses, but I knew that voice, that laugh. The boyfriend Jordan had joked about was real, and he was broke. We kept digging. Callista had sent money under different transaction notes. Wellness services, consulting fee, vendor payout, all carefully worded to look legitimate. She wasn't just cheating, she was laundering. Then Rory's background check on Tyrese came back. 2 prior arrests, fraud and identity theft. He'd scammed a woman out of her inheritance in 2015, promised a business venture, disappeared with the cash. This wasn't an affair, it was a partnership. A con team. That's when a woman named Harper showed up at my door. "You don't know me," she said, "but I used to be married to Tyrese." For the next hour, Harper laid out how they'd done to her exactly what they were doing to me. Word for word, move for move. She'd been a nurse, gave Tyrese everything for his smoothie bar dream. He drained her dry, then brought Callista in as business manager. They changed the locks, erased Harper from her own life, made her feel unstable and obsessed. But Harper had kept everything. Screenshots, chat logs, even a Google Doc where they'd mapped out target profiles of financially stable partners to exploit. My name was at the top. Liam D. owns cabin, multiple investment accounts. Passive, predictable. Too nice. The worst revelation. Harper showed me documents for a company called Tide Rise Wellness LLC. Registered under my name, my social security number, my address. I'd never heard of it. "It's a front," Harper explained. "They're laundering money through it, fake gym sales, supplements, memberships. But it's in your name, which means if the IRS gets involved, you're the one they're coming after." She handed over USB drives, timelines, everything. This wasn't just betrayal. Callista was setting me up for federal charges. I immediately filed identity theft reports and hired a federal defense attorney named Clarissa Vale. She was sharp, surgical, didn't sugarcoat anything. "You're lucky Harper came forward," she said. "Without her, you might have faced real charges." Meanwhile, I went completely silent on Callista. Didn't answer calls, texts, emails. Let her wonder where I'd gone while I quietly dismantled everything she thought she controlled. I froze all joint accounts with a few clicks. Sold our Breckenridge condo through private sale. She didn't get notice until the transaction was finalized. Used my power of attorney, which she'd granted me months earlier and forgot to revoke, to liquidate our investments and transfer proceeds to a private trust. Her messages grew increasingly desperate. Why are the utilities in someone else's name? Did you move money from the brokerage account? Are you trying to punish me? Grow up, Liam. She called me immature. After forging my signature, selling my grandfather's cabin, funneling money to a convicted fraud, the irony was breathtaking. Then she sued me for misappropriation of marital funds, claimed I'd intentionally withdrawn and concealed assets, leaving her financially stranded and emotionally traumatized. She was trying to flip the script, make me the villain in her story. Big mistake. In court, Clarissa presented everything methodically. The forged cabin sale with expert testimony on the signature. The shell company created with my stolen identity. The money laundering through fake business transactions. Harper's affidavit about their previous cons. Digital forensics showing Callista's IP address creating fraudulent businesses in my name. When Callista took the stand, she tried to cry, claimed confusion, said Tyrese had misled her, that she didn't know what she was signing. But Clarissa had the group chat logs, the target lists, the audio files where they planned everything. The judge leaned back, studying Callista with disgust. I find the plaintiff's claims not only unsubstantiated but intentionally misleading. This case is dismissed with prejudice. But he wasn't done. Given the evidence presented today, I am referring this matter to the State Attorney's Office and the Department of Revenue for further investigation. Bailiff, please escort Missy Duval to the holding area until interviewed by attending agents. Federal agents entered from the back, handed her formal charges: wire fraud, identity theft, tax evasion, conspiracy to defraud. As they let her out, she turned to me with wide eyes. "Liam, please don't let them." I didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't say a word. Tyrese was arrested in Miami 2 days later. Even after winning, I still owed $14,000 from a refinancing document she'd buried in paperwork years earlier that made me jointly liable for the business loan. The legal process would eventually shift blame to her, but creditors wanted their money now. I paid it without fighting. I was done bleeding for her decisions. Months later, I got one final letter from her. Expensive paper, neat handwriting. "You always thought you were smarter, but I was just faster." I read it twice, then smiled. Not because it hurt. It didn't. There was a time that letter would have ruined my day. Now it was just a whisper from a world I no longer lived in. I burned it in my fire pit. Used what was left to buy land in Montana, a quiet clearing behind pine trees with a creek running along the edge. Built a new cabin with my own hands. Got a rescue dog named Diesel, all legs and tongue with a bark too big for his frame. Harper and I stayed friends. Not romantic, just two people who'd survived the same con. We'd meet for coffee, talk about anything except the past. I started writing again, filling notebooks with good memories I didn't want to lose. Like catching my first fish with Grandpa or how the original cabin smelled in winter. The original cabin is gone forever. Sold, flooded, claimed, erased. But the one I rebuilt from memory and forged in silence, that one no one can ever touch. Callista might have been faster, but I'm free. And freedom isn't about speed. It's about choosing peace over war, integrity over spectacle, healing over revenge. Sometimes the most powerful goodbye is the one you don't say at all.